Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I am here after many days of playing games, and I am glad to be doing a movie review again. This is a new release movie, and it is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. First off, happy Mother's Day. It is appropriate that I'm reviewing this movie on Mother's Day since, we all came from apes. And so, anyways, this movie, I expected it to be bad, honestly. I'll tell you guys what I think of the series in general so you can see where I'm coming from. The original series, I have every single movie as a kid. I wanted to get the box set for some reason. I really liked all these colorful covers that they had of the DVDs. And I just, it was like an impulse buy as a kid. And I saw the first one, I think, but I can't really remember if I actually finished it or if maybe I fell asleep watching it with my parents or something. And I never got around to watching the rest of the series, unfortunately, which is really sad because, Roddy McDowall, he's awesome. He's definitely one of the best actors of all time, and it would be great to actually sit down and watch that whole series because I don't think it has that bad of a reputation, like all the sequels that there are, and there are a lot of sequels. And then I did see the remake. The remake was also in the box set. That remake, that Tim Burton, Mark Wahlberg remake, is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It is so bad. I would never watch it again. And I'll tell you guys right now, if I ever do the series and review every single movie, you couldn't pay me to watch that movie again. I'll never, ever, ever watch that piece of crap movie again. It was terrible. It was awful. Even as a kid, I was laughing at that movie. I was laughing at Mark Wahlberg, thinking that he can be a movie star. Just terrible. And then finally, a couple years later, you get Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I didn't see Rise first. I heard that it was good, but I don't know why I didn't see it. It's unfortunate. But then I saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and wow, that is one of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen that movie 10 times. I saw it 2 times in theaters, which is really rare for me. I never see a movie multiple times in the theaters. Never. And then I went back and rewatched Rise, and I think Rise is also a really, really good movie. I think it's actually almost just as good as Dawn, except Dawn is a little bit more climactic, I guess you could say. I mean, you got fucking apes with was it machine guns? Didn't they have machine guns at some point in that movie? I can't remember, but I need to watch that movie again. And then finally, War for the Planet of the Apes was a huge disappointment because it wasn't a war movie at all. It was a Holocaust movie. It should have been called Holocaust of the Planet of the Apes. It was not a war movie at all. They totally mismarketed it, made it seem like there'd be a ton of action and there'd be all these battle scenes. There was this one article, they said that it was Full Metal Jacket, and they said that the action and the war scenes were so good it was fucking Full Metal Jacket, and it's no way. Excuse me. No way, Jose. It was a big letdown, and so after that, I was kind of okay, this series is done. They finished the story, but then Disney bought Fox so that they could, ruin everything that Fox has now, too. And they were okay, let's make our Planet of the Apes franchise now. And I just was really not looking forward to this movie. I could see through it. I knew what they were going to do. You saw it in the marketing, but it still looked good because they're still, at least, it doesn't feel completely like a cynical cash grab sequel. It does feel a little bit like they wanted to make a good movie. They wanted to continue the series in a respectful way where they're not doing the Star Wars thing where they kill Han Solo and turn him into a deadbeat dad and shit like that. It didn't feel at least like they might be onto something here. And overall, before getting into the movie and getting into my non-spoiler review, I would say that I actually liked this movie quite a bit. I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't great, and it wasn't bad. It was just pretty good. And you know what? It is so pretty good, it is actually now my favorite movie of the year. It's like, I mean, you got like all these other crappy movies, and they've just been getting worse and worse and worse. And this is at least like the only one where I can say, like, I've watched this movie again. I think that it's a good addition to the series. It is better in terms of entertainment than War for the Planet of the Apes, which was like a depressing slog where they put Caesar in a concentration camp and shit. This movie was a lot more entertaining than that, and it felt a lot more satisfying too. Like, that War for the Planet of the Apes movie. Oh, I swear, guys, I can't remember if I did a review for that movie or not, but you guys better be thankful that I didn't do a review, because I would have. That was such a letdown. Anyways, this movie, I will tell you guys what I liked about it first, and then I will tell you what I didn't like, and then I'll give you my review, and then I'm going to get into spoiler territory, because there are quite a few spoiler things that I'd like to discuss. I really love the music in this movie. The music is continuing to be really, really good. It was even good in War for the Planet of the Apes. Very good music. The animation, the cinematography, it looks really, really good. I mean, the movie, it has amazing visuals. It looks extremely realistic, and it's so good. I mean, I just love seeing these live action but CGI apes where it feels real, but you know that it's not. And it's so funny because then you have these Disney live action remakes and they look terrible. They look terrible, like that Lion King movie, The Beauty and the Beast. Ew. Contrast those with this movie. This movie, it's a beautiful movie. As well, the action is fantastic. I mean, there are some pretty good action scenes throughout the movie. And sorry, guys, I have a really itchy throat right now. I don't know why. I have my dehumidifier on, and I have my air purifier on, and my sinuses are still going to bother me today. So, I apologize for that in advance. Let's see, what else did I like? As I said, I like the action. The movie gets better, too. I mean, it starts off, and for the first 40 minutes, I was kind of like, ugh, this movie's kind of lame. It's boring. But it really picks up after that first 40 minutes. And I was totally engrossed in the movie. Like, I was so interested in what was going on. And in fact, I would also dare to say that this is the second most interesting movie in the series. It raises a lot of questions. It makes you think. And those are the things that you really want in a good sci-fi movie. The last thing you want in a sci-fi movie is like a brain-dead, lame, generic action type of movie where it's just like good guy and good woman go fight bad guy, go to different planet worlds, and then they get device and defeat bad guys. That's the last thing you want. You don't want a Rebel Moon. You don't want a Zack Snyder Rebel Moon movie for your science fiction fill. You want a movie like this where it really makes you think, it really makes you go, this is really interesting. I like where this is going. I like the fact that it feels like they really thought this thing out and they have a plan. And that's another thing that I like. I like it when movie makers have a plan. I don't like this limp dick thing where they're just like, oh, I'll do this one day, and oh, maybe for the next sequel I'll do, maybe I can try that out. Like what they did with the Blumhouse Halloween trilogy. I can bet you guys that the script for Halloween Ends was like 100% different than it actually turned out to be. Because you could really feel with that movie, like all the rewrites and how Jamie Lee Curtis, she basically like commandeered the movie. And she made the movie all about her. And, made this crappy romance Christine ripoff movie. And that's the type of thing I'm really sick of nowadays, is stuff like that. And with this movie, it at least feels like they had a plan. They know what they're doing. They've got more movies in mind. But on the flip side of that, I would also say this movie feels a little bit too much like a setup movie. Which is much more common nowadays. That's a very modern thing, a setup movie. Because studios, they're obsessed with building franchises. And that's a problem for this movie because the last 3 movies in the series, regardless of if they were great or terrible, like the last one, they were distinct stories. They had a beginning, middle, and an end. You could take all 3 of them out of the series and just watch them on their own. They're their own thing, their own story. But this movie, it felt a lot more like, okay, we're setting up the next one, we're setting up the next one. Oh, yeah. Oh, this character, you think they're like this, but they're that. Ooh, we're setting up for the next one. And, maybe there could be a third one where this happens. Like, it felt a lot more like a setup movie. Which is funny, too, because setup movies and setup TV show episodes, they tend to be pretty bad. And this movie's actually pretty good, so I guess that's also a good thing, because normally these setup things, they're just not very entertaining, because you can just feel like that they're setting things up instead of telling a complete story, and it's kind of like they just want your money, they want you to pay for this ticket, and they already are thinking about making you pay for the next movie too. But yeah, so I still enjoyed this movie regardless of the problems. I would definitely, as I said before, I would definitely watch it again. Now let's get into the problems. Oh, wait a second. I should also say one two good. Wait, how much of a... is there a way I could... Let's see. Sorry, guys. This is an important thing here. It's for science. Anatomy. Let me, Well, I will say, I really liked the main character, the actor who played him. I thought he was very charismatic in the role, regardless of how one-dimensional the character was. He felt a lot like, if you guys, The Lion King, obviously a lot of people have seen that movie. He kind of sounded a lot like Simba from The Lion King when he grew up, Matthew Broderick. His voice sounded like, pretty close to, let's see. So I'm trying to measure how, because a woman's body is you can divide it up into sections. So I'm going to cut off this woman's head. And so, okay, we have the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Well, so a woman is made up of approximately 6 heads worth of body. And in this movie, the main female character, she's a very strong woman character. She is a typical Disney type of character, and that is one of the problems with the movie. But fortunately, they got a really, really smoking hot actress to play this character. And, you know, there was this one shot in the movie where I was like, you know what? I'm glad I paid for this ticket, because I'm glad I got to see this on the big screen. That's for damn sure. And you guys will know the shot when you see it. It's her, and she's in this room with with another character, and and yeah, I kind of liked her character a little bit. I didn't like her as much at the end, because I kind of feel like I don't know, just in general with the characters in this movie, they're really one-dimensional and shallow. They're like paper-thin characters. And her character and then the main ape character, they're the closest. They're the closest to being like a little bit more dimensional, especially her, because she's got cake. She's got cake for days. Like, you know, at the end of this year, when I do the Jones Awards, after I make up and do this year's Jones Awards, she's gonna be getting an award probably, and I'll just say that. I won't say which award it is, but I mean, you'll figure it out if you see the movie. And so, yeah, like, I really had a problem with the characters, because at the beginning of the movie, you're supposed to care about this really bad thing happening. You don't, because you don't really know these characters. They're just kind of like stereotypes and archetypes and just been there, done that, cliche characters. And then later on in the movie, you're supposed to care about, like, when characters reunite. You don't really care at all, because you don't really know these characters. And just whenever characters get killed, like any character, you don't really care at all, because you don't really know anyone. You don't know any of these apes very well. The main character, he's just kind of like a naive, youthful character. I mean, these characters really needed to be fleshed out more. I mean, this is a long movie. It's a 2 hour and 10 minute 2 hour and 10 minute movie. And for being a 2 hour and 10 minute movie, there is probably like 2 minutes of characterization in the whole movie. Oh, no, maybe 3 minutes. And I think there needed to be more of that, instead of like the walking around exploring scenes, which like fill most of the runtime. You know, like the villain in this movie is terrible. Now let's get to the next thing that I didn't like. There is this cliche where, you know, I know that the Roman Empire fell, but it really feels like there's this misunderstanding of like why the Roman Empire fell in the first place. And because it feels like I'm never gonna stop coughing, that's for damn sure. It feels like the Roman Empire is like the default bad guy in like any movie. Like it feels like you know, we're playing Fallout New Vegas. You got Caesar's Legion in that game. And for some reason, there's this, like, association with, like, if bad guys, if they want to take inspiration from any empire in the history of the world, they're obviously going to take influence from the Roman Empire. And they're obviously going to be attached to that. And, you know, that's why I kind of like the last 3 movies, because the main guy, they named him Caesar. He was a good guy. He was a heroic character. He was a great movie character. And now we're back to the tired cliche of like, oh, of course, the Roman Empire is bad, and also all these apes that are in this empire are bad, and they're all behind this bad Roman Empire, Caesar, tyrant guy, and apparently, too, something that was really strange. They said that they modeled the character of Proximus Caesar, the villain. They modeled him after Elon Musk. I don't know where they got that. I mean, the actor that they got to play him actually kind of looks like Elon Musk, which is kind of funny. But, like, I didn't really notice any similarities to him at all. So I didn't know what they were thinking with that. So, yeah, like, that was also kind of cliche. The movie in general was kind of cliche and kind of like, we've seen all this before. And then there's another human character who's actually living with the bad apes in this evil ape Roman Empire thing on the beach. And his character is played by William H. Macy. And William H. Macy, he is one of the best actors nowadays. He'd probably be one of the actors that I would want to put in a movie because he's so good. And they take him, and he's just this really boring, bland character. He's got nothing to his character at all, except for, like, he likes to teach people or he likes learning. I have no clue what they were thinking with this character. I mean, he's got nothing. And, his character's trash. We'll talk more about him in spoilers. Because he's the one who taught the main ape bad guy. He taught him about Caesar. So he's kind of like this. He's a really underdeveloped and underutilized character because he could have been really interesting and really cool. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to, just, I don't know, needed a lot more character work. That's why the first movie in the series, The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that's why that movie was so good, is because let's count how many characters there were in that movie. You had James Franco, it was Naomi Rapace, or no, I can't remember, his Indian girlfriend. You had the Malfoy, or Draco Malfoy from Harry Pothead. You had that bad Indian guy or whatever, and then you had John Lithgow, and you had Caesar. Now, throughout the movie, you cared about 4 out of 6 of those characters. You really, really were interested in those characters. And there was a lot of character work in that movie. A lot of that movie was just James Franco and Caesar. And it was really, 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 really good. And in this movie, instead, it's like, oh, we got to tell this cliche story. We got to get from point A to point B to point C. We gotta, we gotta, like, just basically make, like, a generic revenge movie kind of thing. I mean, there's a scene at the beginning of the movie, too. It made me think of The Force Awakens. So, yeah, it was very much like a Disney-fied Planet of the Apes movie in terms of, like, why it was bad. And then, let's see, are there any other... I know I've kind of contradicted myself a few times, too. And I don't know what to say. Like, it's just kind of a mixed bag of a movie, And with mixed bags, you do kind of go up and down with, like, okay, let's see if there's anything else. Okay, well, the last thing I'll say is that the movie is a very emotionally manipulative movie. Since you don't care about the characters very much, they really try to manipulate you with, like, this character dies and this character dies. Oh no! oh no, don't you care about what's happening? Don't you care about these characters, whether they escape or whether they do this or that? And it feels very manipulative because it doesn't really earn any of that. It doesn't earn any of the emotion that you would get from I don't know, what they do in the movie with the characters. So anyways, in terms of food, this movie is not terrible. I mean, I know that I spent 10 minutes ranting about it, but that's just because, I knew it was going to be like a Disney-fied movie, and you have to go into that knowing that, because it definitely feels like a Disney Planet of the Apes movie. I mean, the way that the main female character, May, I think her name is, the way that she's just so easily able to do things, and the way that she's so easily able to, I mean, it's weird because there's a lot of gaps that they need to fill in, I think, with the second movie. I'll just say that. Especially with her character. And I won't say anything more. So, in terms of food, again, this movie is like a nice plate of spaghetti that you get from a fast food restaurant, or I guess like they don't call it that, they call it like a fast casual or something. But like, I just got spaghetti the other day from this place called the Cherry House Cafe. Spaghetti and meatballs. And, no matter how good it is, there will never be as good of spaghetti as if you just made it at home by yourself with the good family recipe. And so, even if the spaghetti I got from Cherry House Cafe, it was pretty good. It was really tasty for the first night. It had a nice amount of meatballs. They tasted pretty good, which is rare. And it didn't taste too artificial and too restaurant-y or fast foody, And so that's kind of this movie. You have to go into it knowing that you're going to eat fast food spaghetti or Cherry House Cafe spaghetti. And if you do that, you'll really like it. They had good garlic bread too. And yeah, it was like it was a pretty good thing. I would recommend this movie. But with a caveat, I would say you should wait for it to come out on Blu-ray and then buy the Blu-ray. Or if you really want to see these visuals, if you really want to see the realistic apes and the birds and shit, go see it in the theaters. But if not, it is not worth seeing in theaters, unfortunately. It is not as good as the 2 out of the 3 last movies. It is better than the last movie, though. That's for damn sure. Now let's get to the spoilers. First off, William H. Macy's character, I don't know what the fuck his character was about. Like, he likes to teach people, and he reads books to Proxima Caesar, and you think about, why would this guy read a book about the Roman Empire to these apes? Like, why would you do that? That would be like going to baby Jeffrey Dahmer and reading him a book about how to be a serial killer. Like, why would you do that? Like, it's just stupid. It's like, what's his motivation for teaching these apes? Like, it's just, there's nothing. It's like I guess he's scared for his life, and he just accepts his place as like the teacher guy. But there's nothing. There's no reason for him to be doing this at all, and it's bizarre. It's really bizarre. And then there's this part where he finds out that the main characters are going to break in this vault, because basically the whole movie revolves around how Caesar wants to get into this big vault and look for stuff and see what's in there. He thinks it's his vault. He thinks that it is not for the human. It was never for the humans. It's for the apes. That was another really weird thing. where the apes thought that it was theirs. I don't ask me. And William H. Macy finds out, and he's like, Caesar's gonna skin your ape alive. And then as he's walking away, May runs up, jumps on him, and she strangles him in like 5 seconds. And this is a very Hollywood thing, because I've heard about strangling from reading about true crime cases. It takes a long time. It's very hard to get right. And the way that this skinny little woman is just able to jump on William H. Macy and put her and get him to the ground and put her leg around his neck or knee, whatever, and strangle him, it's ridiculous. It doesn't feel real at all. It's silly. It's dumb. I didn't like that. Let's see, what else? And also, as I was saying earlier, May has cake. I mean, she should basically be called Cake May. Like, that's her new character name from now on. And, like, you're thinking about, these apes are obsessed with getting into this stupid vault to get who knows what. And it's like, why do they care so much about getting inside that vault when they could get up inside that ass? Like, I mean, seriously, like, the main ape, he's got, like, a female ape love interest, and it's like, I don't care how pretty your female ape love interest is. I can't even remember her name. What was her name? I gotta go. I can barely remember the names of the characters in this movie, because they weren't really that great characters. Let's see. Was it Silva? I guess, or Dar. I don't know. I really don't know. But, the main character, May, is a really, really beautiful character. And I was like, holy shit, like, come on. Like, I don't care about, like, the morality of it or anything. Like, if I'm that main ape, if I'm Noah, and I meet up with this character, like, you better be sure that I would be interested in that character. They were obsessed with getting into this vault, though. And in the vault, all that there was like, there was guns, some technology crap, and there were some books. And they actually destroy everything in the vault at the end of the movie. The main female character, she pretty much is instrumental in everything happening in the entire movie. I mean, I think without her, none of the movie could have happened. So that's another thing. It doesn't really feel like the main hero, Noah, is very is a strong hero. It feels like he's kind of the B character to her A character, and they don't really, I don't know, everything in this movie needed to be developed more. Instead of telling this really, really generic revenge story, they needed to develop the characters and make you understand why they do the things that they do. I mean, I kind of went with everything and just kind of went along for the ride. Didn't really question a whole lot until after the movie, because I was also staring at the character the whole movie, the May's character. And there was one part at the end of the movie, too, where she's got this weird outfit on, and she looks like she's in an ad for, like, the Sun... Or, wait, what was that? There's this one fashion magazine, and I can't remember what it's called, but she looked like she was in an ad for a fashion magazine. Like, she looked like... She didn't look like she's in the post-apocalypse at all. Neither did William H. Macy. William H. Macy, he just kind of looked like he stepped onto this movie set and they were like, hey, you're an actor. Would you like to do this part? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. And, he was like there for like a day and then he left. Like that's another thing. That's kind of like a pet peeve with me with like these post-apocalyptic movies, is like you have these pretty people characters with their pretty teeth. And you think about in the post-apocalypse, that would be one of the downsides, is that you would not be able to have pretty white teeth. They would be ugly and gross looking sometimes. Like, and just her teeth looked perfect. She looked like a perfect, pretty woman who could be in a fashion ad. She looks like a model, and it didn't work for me. She's also kind of a shady character. I mean, she hides from the apes that she can talk and that she can think, and that I guess the virus is kind of wearing off on the humans, and that now that it's been all these generations, that you now have these humans who can talk fully, and they can just interact just like regular humans, who were before the big apocalypse happened. So then there's this part at the end of the movie, and where Caesar, he dies a Disney death, where he falls off a cliff. You know, that's how all Disney villains die. They all fall from a high place. And Caesar, he has this death that really reminded me of like Ant-Man 3, where Noah, he starts calling all these birds, and then all the other apes, they all call the birds too, because basically apes have like broken up into bird tribes where they're training birds, and they're all called like the different types of birds. And then the birds come down and they all eat the guy. They eat Caesar and peck at him until he falls off a cliff. It was really, really cool looking, though. It was really brutal. But this was a weak villain, Caesar. Like, I didn't understand his motivations at all. He was a very cartoonish and stereotypical villain who's just like, humans are bad and apes are good, but I want stuff. Like, I didn't understand him. In fact, he had this number 2 guy who was like a big gorilla, and he was a lot scarier. He was a lot more intimidating. He had a really good fight with Noah at the beginning of the movie, too, where he was killing Noah's mom. And I really liked that scene. That was one of my favorite scenes of the movie, actually. But there's this weird moment at the end where Cake May, she's interacting with Noah, and they're talking about how humans and apes can possibly coexist in the world now. And she's holding a gun behind her back, and so it's kind of like, oh shit, she is kind of a biatch. She is a shady character. She is really not a good human character. She's all about humans, you know, and the humans, they all just care about themselves, I guess. That's what Noah says at the end of the movie. He says humans won't stop until they just have everything for themselves. And so, but the weird thing is that he's handing her a necklace as a present, which doesn't feel earned at all, by the way, because, you know, they have kind of a good relationship. They have good chemistry with each other, but that didn't feel earned at all, especially after he was saying that, like, you know, humans and apes, you know, humans have problems, and, you know, they're all selfish and disgusting people, and but then he hands her a necklace, and, well, somehow she holds out both hands in front of her to take the necklace from him. And I was like, you know, in a real movie, they would show her with the gun behind her back, and they would make it kind of suspenseful to be like, okay, is she going to shoot him? What's she going to do? Because she did shoot an ape earlier in the movie, but no, the gun disappears, and she holds out both of her hands. So I don't know where she put the gun. Like, did she stick the gun up her ass or something? Because, like, they couldn't even bother to, like, show her just sticking the gun in her pocket or something. Like, so it just disappears. Like, what is up with that? Like, that was a terrible shot choice of, like, you should have shown her putting the gun away. There was no point in not showing her putting the gun away before she takes the necklace from Noah. So that was really strange. And then it turns out after that that the whole movie has been a big, long mission for Cake May, to get this piece of technology. So she's been using the ape characters this whole movie just to get this stupid little technology piece and bring it back to this little safe house full of, like, there's like 9 women and only 2 men, and they're all really smart scientists, I guess, and they plug this technology thing in, it turns on these satellites, and they are able to connect with other people who just so happen to have technology to communicate as well. And so, yeah, I really didn't like the ending for this movie at all. That felt very manipulative and just really forced and emotionally manipulative, as I said. It reminded me of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, too, where, like, the whole mission for that movie, for Gary Oldman's character, he ends up turning on the communication and connecting with the other humans, which turns out to be a bad thing, because the other humans are like, they're like an army who want to kill all the apes or whatever. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm excited for it, because, as I said, I still overall enjoyed the movie. I just don't think that it's an amazing movie. I think it's just pretty good. And yeah, please like this video and comment. Tell me what you thought of the movie, because I'm positive about the movie. I mean, I know that I sounded pretty negative in talking about the things that I didn't like, but I swear to you guys, I enjoyed the movie. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews, where I don't just, pull a Chris Stuckman and not really review the movie. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.